Good morning, friends. In the last lecture, I tried to project different kind of or categories of interviewer. I will always put a note of disclaimer. That is, all the interviewers, they are all selected based on their experience, their caliber, their qualifications. Whatever may be the kind of characteristics they belong to, each one of them are going to be very, very contributing to the entire set of interview in the selection process. You have to judge them, identify them in these categories. That does not mean that they will ever have the negative impacts on you. No. The point is, it's just simply different kind of characteristics. Whenever there is a mandate for the interviewer to select somebody, they will always have their responsibilities performed. That's why they have been selected, except one or two who may be there by protocol. When the interview board becomes too large, in such cases, there may be some of the interviewers who are really not that critical or does not make much of a contribution. It is a choice of the interview board creator. But if it is a small group, but minded, then in such cases, each and every individual interviewer has a lot of role to play. So I have talked about how one should categorize the interviewer. But now let's talk about certain things about their gestures, and that is where it is connected with body language. There are certain things which will be communicated to you. In the whole interview process, what happens is, as I said, that it's a game plan, it's a game play. It is because of this, the interviewer has to behave or perform in a certain manner, and that is guided by their gestures. When you go for the interview, you will find there are certain gestures when you enter the interview room. It's like, try to imagine this, a room, there's a door, inside how many people are sitting you have no clue, you are waiting outside, one by one your competitors or other candidates, they are entering, after some time they are coming out, you are watching them. I suggested that you don't have to really take feedback from them, because more you take the feedback, more is the chance that you will be biased against or towards the interviewer. Play in a green field. You enter yourself, from then on till you come out of it, it's your field, you play within it. Okay? Now watch the kind of gestures that generally interviewers give, whether it is single interviewer or a group. When you enter, the door is opened for you by the attendant maybe, or you open it yourself and you find that the interviewer is busy looking at some files. He is looking at the files, ignoring you. This is one kind of gesture you may get. Don't be judgmental. Don't be judgmental on this. This is one gesture, okay? Ignoring you. After some time, suddenly he looks at you, oh, okay, please come and sit down. That's what is the kind of response you get. All right. Sometime you will find that the interviewer is keeping you waiting. That means either looking at this file, or he's looking at something else, or maybe he's looking towards the other side. He knows that you have entered. Mind it, once you have opened the door and entered, already your entry has been taken note of by the interviewer or a group of interviewers. But you are being kept waiting. I'll conclude these by the end of these slides. Another is keeping you standing. These are different gestures you will face, you will experience. I'll give you a clue that what it means, what should be your response, what should be your actions. But keeping you standing. Another is like, looking at you as if, with a who the hell are you attitude. I told this earlier also. Looking at you entered through the door. It is a pre-appointment. You have come in and he is looking at you at the door as if, who the hell are you? Like, that kind of attitude. But again, for God's sake, don't be judgmental on these. No. Another is tease you attitude. You have entered, you don't know what to do with the door. He will pass a remark like, why don't you shut the door and come in? Why don't you come and sit down? It may not be very courteous, may not be. It's a teasing you attitude. Okay? Or one is that you are not required. As if, why did you at all come in? You are not required. That kind of attitude. Now, let me analyze it. Basically these gestures are kind of drama by the interviewer, because the person has invited you for the interview for his own purpose. If you get a job, your purpose will be served that you are going to get a salaried job, but his purpose is that he is going to get the right candidate. But through this, basically he is judging what is the kind of responses or actions that you have in case you are facing this. Why? Because once you are selected and be one of the member of their team, you are likely to face a similar situation when you go to the other side of it. That means, if you are a marketing man selected by this company and then going to another company for sales and marketing, and the person who have gone to meet may behave the same manner, this person wants to judge that what's the kind of reactions or responses that you perform. That's the judgment. So I said, you don't be judgmental on these issues. You do whatever is right. Okay? Through this, they will have a very clear idea about that how do you really respond to these kind of situations. All these situations are negative situations, so you are pushed to a negative situation to judge that how do you respond to negative situations. That is the basic idea. See, one thing you have to be very clear about. You are invited for interview, so you are definitely welcome. So it's the test. Sometime I'll tell you in the interview what happens is, the interviewer showing roughness, facial roughness, aggressiveness. Okay, you may think that why I have been called when they don't want to take me, as it appears, like say they don't want to take me, then why did they invite me for interview? Let me make it one thing very clear. They have invited you because they might need you. They want to test you. So these gestures, take note of it. Then you are not required. This point let me clarify. See, in this, if you are being ignored, then it's basically to see that if you are being ignored, how do you penetrate? I am giving you the kind of clue of actions at your end. That's the soft skill. If you are being ignored, make sure that you are being attended to. That's a training you must get. How do you do it? Sometimes people, they do like this, make a sound like that, or to catch attention of the person who is not looking at you, ignoring you. Or sometime on the table somebody will tap, or somebody will say, good morning sir, or somebody will say, excuse me. That means if you are being ignored, how do you turn the table towards your favor and you catch attention of the person? That's also a test. So all these gestures that you are seeing, apparently they are all negative gestures, but through these negative situations you are being judged in terms of your response, nature of response, your reactions, okay, and the time taken for that particular response. Never, when you enter an interview room and you find that there is only one interviewer and he is not looking at you, never wait for long. Don't make it an eternal waiting, expecting that the person will look at you and then give you a chance to talk to or invite you to sit. No. If it is, say, after about 5 to 10 seconds, after that you make such kind of situation that you catch his attention. whether by saying, good morning, sir, or may I come in, sir. See, you can say, may I come in, sir, after you have entered, only to catch his attention, attract his attention. Okay? So, looking at files, ignoring you is a gesture which is a very typical game plan. Another is keeping you waiting. Keeping you waiting or keeping you standing in similar situation. At this point, what do? Basically, unless somebody asks you to sit, you generally don't sit. All right. But suppose they don't, interview members or the one person interviewer is not inviting you or offering you a seat. What do? You'll be standing there and give your interview. No. Wait for a few seconds, give him a chance to offer you a seat. If he doesn't, then you volunteer saying, can I sit? May I sit? You have to offer. This offering is basically a kind of trading. Like they are trying to test you that if you are asked not to sit, or rather, sorry, I put it in a different manner. If you are not being offered to sit, then how do you ensure that you get a seat for yourself? You can always say, good morning, sir. May I sit? You can always do that. These are the things which you have to really practice. Unless you practice it, what happens is you are not ready for this situation. Why I am discussing all these different kind of situations? So that more you analyze it yourself and check it with your own past experiences or others' experiences, more you will be ready for the situations, responding to the right response to the situations. So, if somebody keeps you standing, then you must definitely ask for a chair. And if somebody keeps you waiting, then you definitely catch attention so that your waiting time gets reduced. If somebody is ignoring you, definitely you catch his attention. That's how you should do it. That's through the body language. Who the hell are you attitude if somebody shows, don't get annoyed. Let him do that because he has the authority to do that. It may look to be very courteous, but they are trying to see that if you are given such kind of negative reactions, then how do you respond it and turn it to positive? If suppose somebody gives you a who the hell are you attitude, then through your interview and interactions, through your conversations and body languages, by the end of the entire interview, you take it to your positive directions. That is what has to be learned. Tease you attitude, if somebody does tease you, don't get annoyed. The tease you attitude is just to check that what is the amount of emotional control you have. If you are being teased, then you should be countering that with a positive answer. If somebody tells you in the interview, what is this? You don't know this particular answer of this question. It's a kind of teasing. It is derogatory. It appears to be derogatory. It appears to be humiliating. But the thing is, in that case, you can definitely respond saying, actually, sir, frankly speaking, we were not taught this. Had I been taught, I would have learnt it. I could have answered you. You please try it with another question. And if I have been taught, if I am exposed to it, then I will be able to answer. So, something which has been a humiliating intonations, which you are converting to your positives. This is what is the soft skill, through your communication skills. You are not required attitude when somebody says, I'll tell you, everybody will try to give an attitude, kind of reactions that you are not required. Your role is to turn it to you are required. That means it is your role, mind it. You have to prove to the person that who already held a kind of impression that you are not required. How do you manifest in such a manner that you turn it to positive towards your side? I have seen many cases when a salesperson enters and the person who is supposed to buy, he says, no, we don't require this particular product. That person says, I'm not going to sell you the product. I'm going to explain you the benefits of this particular product. I'm not forcing you to buy this product. You see it. For seeing, you don't pay anything. This is a very standard thing we hear, isn't it? That you don't have to pay anything for seeing. You go to a shop and suppose you are seeing certain objects and they say that so for seeing, so we don't charge for seeing the objects. Basically what he is doing, he is initially when you are not ready to buy, you are not even ready to see, he makes you to see. And by the time you see more and more positives of that, it may so happen that you change your mind and you say, okay, in that case I can take this. Same is here. You are not required is a reaction that is given to test that how do you convert it to your required situation. This is what is very interesting. Okay, so in the interview game, I always say interview is a game. When you are going, you be prepared. It's just like any other game. You prepare yourself at home, you prepare at workshops, you prepare at the training center, and then you play on the field in the interview board. Okay, so this is a game play, and you don't know here. Only difference between the normal play, I said earlier that the whole thing is a play. Play means that play is the dramatics. Only difference between that kind of thing and this interview is this: during a play, every actor's role is rehearsed before to the perfections. Then on the stage, depending on the reaction of the audience, there may be a little variations in the whole performances, but the performance is fairly structured. But in an interview, the entire play is totally initially blind. You enter and then the game starts, and you don't know from which direction, what kind of questions will be fielded to you, and what will be your reactions and answers. So it's a very, very serious affair. And here I can assure you, the kind of soft skills I've been talking about, if you really take note of each individual soft skill and try to train yourself, then you will find you will be a better person to respond to positively to this kind of situations. There are other kind of gestures, frowning at you. You enter the interview board and somebody looks at you, with a frown thing. Not necessarily ignoring you, but frowning at you, like it is also not same as who the hell are you? It's a frowning, because that person is, when people frown, when the folds come on the forehead, the vertical 2 or 3 lines when it comes on the forehead, it's like, when you are in a thinking mode, you are thinking something. When you think, the lines get generated on our forehead and between the eyebrows. We are thinking. Suppose you have entered the interview room and the person who was thinking something and looking at you, the frown will continue. You don't expect that suddenly the whole frown will change. No. So don't misunderstand the frowning. See, my suggestion in the whole course of this discussion of the soft skill is never get disturbed or dejected by any negative reactions or actions. Never. Because my very purpose of telling you all these things is you are supposed to convert all the negatives to positives. So if somebody frowns at you, you look at him very normally with a pleasant smile, with a soft smile, and then initiate a discussion if he doesn't, and then the discussion you take it in such a direction that ultimately he becomes very soft and sober and very comfortable, and then a smile is generated in his lips, and then finally he becomes so comfortable with you, or you become so comfortable with him, that you start discussing all positives and all good things. That is how the communication comes. So frowning at you does not mean that one means to humiliate you. Sometime you may find that in the gestures of the interviewer, expression of disbelief. What is that expression of disbelief? I have seen many cases. I am just citing one or two. Suppose a question has been asked, and then you say, you give a response, an answer, and then the immediate reaction of the interviewer is, huh, what are you talking about? Huh, what are you talking about? This is a disbelief. I'll tell you, you may be 100% right. Quite often what happens is, this kind of disbelief is expressed by the interviewer when the interviewer himself is not very sure about the answer. If he is very sure about the answer, he will immediately say, yes, absolutely perfect, yes, good. He will ask you another question maybe. But if he is not very clear about the answer himself, but he shut the question because he could think about the question before thinking about the answer, then the immediate reaction could be a disbelief. So this is another gesture of interviewer, expression of disbelief. Raised eyebrows is not frowning. Raised eyebrows is trying to explore more of yourself. This, you will see that these eyebrows will go up like this. I cannot make it because I generally don't raise eyebrows unnecessarily. If I am being overwhelmed, or if I'm being ecstatic in anything, then my eyebrows may go up. But I cannot do that kind of eyebrowing. Really, I have seen people raise the eyebrows to this much, almost here. That raising the eyebrows is also by trick and the practice. Okay, but the raising eyebrows is another gesture which you will be very commonly seeing. Folded arms like this. I have talked about this folded arms, opened arms, and hands behind, but I'm just repeating here for the interviewers. If the interviewer is sitting all through interviewing you with the folded arms, then you can take it for granted that he is not very serious about the interview. No, he cannot do this. He is supposed to have a normal body posture and then take your interview. So if he is folded arms, okay, if he is folded arms and then suddenly unfolds, that means you are now breaking the ice. You can take it for granted that you have broken the ice. The person who was not very much interested to listen to you, and you started saying something which has created interest in his mind, then his reaction would be automatically opening the hands, unfolding the hands, and then, or unfolding the arms. And then after some time, if you find that he is progressing towards you, that means he is taking more interest in you. So unfolding, then unfolding, and then crossed legs and uncrossed legs. If somebody is, if you find somebody, some interviewer you have gone to, he is sitting with the folded hands and the crossed legs, you can take it for granted that the interview is not a serious affair there. Because if a person is with crossed leg, means he is trying to prove to you or show to you that he is highly comfortable. Sometimes you will find that somebody is listening to you. I gave this indication earlier also. Somebody is listening to you like this. Apparently, he is paying attention to you. In fact, he has a double mind. One mind here, communicating with you, another mind is somewhere else. He is thinking something else. So if it is a crossed leg, okay, that means he is very comfortable there. You cannot sit crossed legs during the interview. When you are giving an interview, you cannot have crossed legs. But the person who is taking interview, he can have the crossed legs. And then if you find, say now you see, folded arms and the crossed legs is most comfortable for the interviewer. If you find that the interviewer has unfolded the hands, that means he is taking interest in you, or he is trying to give you a hint that enough, you can leave now. If somebody has a crossed leg, that means he is feeling very comfortable and wants to show to you that he is most comfortable situation. And then if he unfolds, or rather breaks the crossed legs, then it is almost giving a hint that okay, its time is over. Okay, these hints you have to take. So here the body languages has to be understood, but always there is a chance that you might misunderstand the body language. Not every time you try to be judgmental about it. If you keep on seeing more and more, best is to watch different people's movement and then see the reactions, the responses, make your own judgment. Okay. So crossed legs is comfort, showing comfort, and unfolding legs means now it is enough. Now we are concluding our discussion, no further, But if you see that the folded arms got unfolded and the crossed legs now become unfolding legs, and then he is leading towards you, forward to you, that means he is taking interest in you. Now the question is the body language during interviews. This I will highlight certain points. Okay. It is very, very important. You remember I said that when you are going for the interview, the time you have entered into the premises, from there you enter through the gate to the reception, from the reception lobby to the interview room, and then after the interview through the reception lobby to entry gate, exit gate, and then out. Okay. In every situation your body language is going to give some indications or signals to everybody who is watching. Not that everyone is concerned about you. An example, you have gone for an interview in a company, in an office. The security man who is at the main gate is not concerned about you are giving an interview, getting or not getting. Okay? He is only concerned about, are you sober? Are you proper? Are you properly dressed? Are you the right candidate? He is going to ensure that. At that time, don't show arrogance. I have seen people at the security gate, the candidate is charging the security person. I have been called for the interview. It's something like, this kind of reaction I have heard. I have been called for the interview. This is the time, so I should get in. Don't. Be sober. Be sober. You have been invited. The security person's role at the gate is to ensure that you are the right candidate to enter. So he is doing his duty. Don't show your power, don't show your authority, don't show your power of invitation to the security man. He is a poorly paid or low paid person, but he is doing his duty diligently. So don't do that. Here the thing is, when you enter the premises, from then on, if suppose you are sober, what would be your reaction? You go to the security gate and then talk to a security person. You go yourself. You don't make the security person ask you, so where do you want to go? Don't make him ask you. You straightway go to the security person and you say that I have been called for this interview. Can you tell me where shall I go to? Very simple question. And he will give a very nice answer, very soft answer, sober answer. He will look at your interview call later. Then he will say, sir, can you go to from here to here? He will be extra helpful to you by guiding that, okay, you go from here and then you turn right and then you get a lift lobby. From there you go to that floor and so and so and so. You know, it makes a hell of a lot of difference that how you initiate the kind of body language or your verbal language. Okay, so at the entry, the next is the space occupied. Once you have entered, how do you occupy the space? Space occupation, when I am talking about reception area, how you occupy a space. When I am talking about the interview room, how you occupy your space. Every space is assigned. In the reception lobby, there are so many waiting lounge chairs, okay, and there may be, say, you can sit anywhere maybe, but if suppose you are being guided that you sit there, you please do that. Don't question. You don't question, why should I sit there? Can I sit there? Why should you say that? You simply say, if suppose you are being guided by the person at the reception lobby, sir, please take your seat. You say thank you and sit. That's a soberness and that's a good gesture. Okay. And space occupied, how do you occupy the space? Now, I have also seen waiting for the interview, final interview call, waiting for half an hour, a person initially was sitting and then after some time he leaning forward, the legs are spread in the front, not even bothering that what will happen if somebody is trying to pass by. His legs are like this. Or sometime I have found that somebody is sitting on a low couch in the reception lobby waiting for the interview, the one leg here, the another leg is in such a way that the boot is very close to the other person's face. What is this? These are all bad gestures. I'll tell you, this also plays very important role. Every gesture, how you occupy your space, is going to be very well calculated by you and it should be always a reflection of your dignity and soberness. Then, the chair movement. If suppose you go to the reception lobby and the sofas are almost fixed, so you have nothing to do, but suddenly you, with a thumb, you sit on the sofa, that's not the right way. Do it very softly. And suddenly you get up, that's also not the right way. Do it very softly. If so, there are loose chairs, don't drag the chairs making a lot of screeching sound and make your comfortable position. No, don't try to shift the chairs wherever they are, let them be. If the chairs are with casters, then don't sit there and rotate like this. No, make a very gentle seating. So chair movement is very important. Sometimes the chair movement inside the interview room. In interview room, suppose you have been given a chair like this and you keep on rotating your body when you are talking like that. It's very distracting and disturbing. Don't do that. It's very, very important. I'll go to the details of this in my next set of lectures. Okay. Then comes the height. What I'm talking about here is the body language during interviews. That means your body language as a person who is facing an interview. I am not at all commenting on the body language of the interviewer. So all my discussions are focused towards you as a person who is going to go for interview. So how you enter the premises, how you enter the reception lobby, how you enter that interview room. Space occupied, how you occupy a space in the reception lobby, how do you occupy a space inside the interview room. Chair movement, how you really move the chairs in the reception lobby or in the interview room. And then comes the question of height. Okay. If you are a tall person, means how you take care of your height. I will go to the details of this. Let me introduce you to all these points first. Then the posture, means how should you, postures I have talked enough in my earlier classes, how really you manifest your stature, bend, how you bend, how much you bend, how do you put your elbows, how you put your hands, how do you bend your body, how do you bend your legs, how you put your hands, elbows, the shoulders. I've talked enough, but I'll give you certain clues further. Then comes the eye movements. This also I've talked about quite extensively, but here basically at every level the eye movement. At the reception lobby, your eye movement is very critical. In the reception lobby, if you keep on looking at all the candidates very repeatedly, with the roving eyes, it's a very bad culture. You don't have to. You have been given a space, sit there quietly. Okay. So, eye movements during the interview, how you have movement of your eyes. I'll go to the details of this. And then the last one that I'll talk about is the lies. Lies means untruth. Okay. The body language, quite often I have found that the candidate who is lying. I gave you some hint in my last lecture that somebody who said that I know some C, some Java. I gave that example. Basically, the candidate was lying. The candidate did not know either of these, none of these languages. It was a lie, which was very clearly reflected. So, lies. So, point is, all these body languages during your interview, you have to really control. Okay? In my next set, I will discuss a little more in detail about each one of that. Thank you.